Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Cartel Hour, where we do live tastings and discussions of all kinds of spirits with the people who make them, use them, and enjoy them. My name is Cameron Stevens.
And my name is Seth Benheim. Together, we're covering everything from familiar bottles to rare and exclusive releases from near and far away. If it's distilled, it's on the podcast.
Featured in Rolling Stone, GQ, Men's Journal, and more, we bring celebrity guests, master distillers, and industry veterans to chat about the latest in the spirits world. Graciela González, or Grace as those close to her get to call her, is part of a fourth generation of tequila makers. But that doesn't mean that she was just handed her job on a Blanco, a silver platter. Working her way up from the warehouse to a certified spirit sommelier specializing in tequila, she has an intimate knowledge of the spirit coupled with an impeccable palate, as we found out on the show. Her family has been distilling tequila for a very long time, but now in the El Mayor family, they have grown quickly enough to warrant a brand new distillery for additional production. Hand-harvested agave with no diffusers used, the El Mayor tequila lineup ranges from a Blanco all the way to extra Añejo, with a less often explored Cristalino offering as well. We tasted the entire lineup with Grace, as well as talked about production, process, and innovation with new types of barrel finishing on tequila coming soon. We're here to learn a little bit and drink a little bit, so grab a glass and let's enjoy. All right, welcome back to the Infusery for another episode of the Cartel Hour. My name is Cameron Stevens.
My name is Seth Benheim, and it's going to be a good one today. We are drinking El Mayor Tequila.
Yes, we are. I have my tequila shirt on. This is now officially my tequila shirt.
I drink a lot of tequila, so I think every shirt is my tequila shirt.
I like that. That's almost a better answer. And our guest today is Grace Gonzalez from El Mayor. How's it going? Are you excited to be drinking tequila?
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm always very excited. I wish that I could show you what it's on my table, but basically it's every single mark that we're trying today. So yes, I am very, very excited.
Excellent. So we get to go one for one on the tasting. You're drinking exactly what we're drinking.
Yes.
Of course I am, yes.
Amazing. Well, we don't always get that luxury. So
No,
this is kind of cool.
It's not always the full lineup. In fact, I think only one time did we have 4 expressions of tequila from the same producer. So this is a first where we're trying every single mark.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. So before we kind of dive into this, I want to know what you're currently doing with El Mayor, but I'm also really interested in your story as to how you got to this point, because you used to be involved in the distilling aspect as well.
Yes. So just to give you a little bit of the story behind my family, we have been in the tequila industry for over 150 years. I am the 4th generation, the first woman actually in the company. So, and in this role, we have women working in different other roles. So I used to live in Mexico and I was involved with all the process. It's kind of like a rule for my father. If you want to work for the distillery, then you have to go through different roles in it. And I got to do that, so I loved it. And currently, right now, what I do, I'm a sommelier in spirits specialized in tequila. So what I do, I live in the United States, so I will do kind of like an ambassador. I host tequila dinners, I do tequila tastings, and I try to teach to everyone that tequila is so much more than just doing a shot, and that we can pair food with it, that we can make amazing cocktails. So basically, let's just say that I have like the best part of the company. I get to see people's faces when they try the tequila. I get to drink tequila. So yeah.
That's amazing. I have to imagine people can kind of wrap their heads around what a tequila tasting looks like, but what does a tequila dinner look like? What are typically your food pairings that you like to do?
So I absolutely love that question. I like to do tastings and tequila pairing, just like we do with wine. So let's say we usually start with a Blanco because that's like I would say like sharpest or finest expression of the agave notes. So I highly recommend to pair the Blanco with something that it's not overpowering. So it can be with ceviche, sushi, sashimi, or if you want to pair it with something sweet, anything that goes with berries and vanilla will just be amazing. Then the Reposado will do, a lot of people don't know, but tequila actually help you a little bit with digestion, kind of like with wines. So if you're having like shrimps with garlic or something that it's a little bit heavier, I highly recommend the reposado or like tortas, which is like a Mexican sandwich. The reposado goes absolutely amazing with it. Then we move to the añejo. The añejo is great with lamb, with pork, with rabbit, a little bit of thicker meats, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, dark chocolate, it's absolutely outstanding. The extra añejo, I highly recommend just to drink it neat. It's, for me, it's kind of like an after dinner tequila, if that makes sense. But of course, you can pair it with whatever you want. I'll give you a little secrets that my family used to have with the extra añejo as we move along. And the Cristalino, I highly recommend first just to try it neat, and then you can make amazing cocktails with it. So it's basically the same. It's just like making sure that your tequila will help you with the digestion, that it's not going to be overpowering your palate, or the food that will be overpowering your palate and you won't be able to taste the goodness of tequila.
Yeah, I love that. It does seem as though there's definitely similarities with like wine pairing. I mean, obviously, that's something that everybody thinks of, but I hope more people think about pairing tequilas now, you know?
Yeah, it's certainly something that doesn't snap right into your mind when you think about tequila. You think about those classic cocktails, Paloma or Margarita or something spicy.
Yeah.
But this is a nice way to sort of think about it in the context of food. I love what you were saying about how you had to work your way up through the distillery. It's kind of like a sushi chef who like starts with rice for like a decade, and then they get into like finally getting their first piece of fish, like after a long period of time of like cutting their teeth on like the early stages of becoming a sushi chef.
I guess that my father at the beginning didn't think that I was serious about it. I'm very, very close to my father. So that being said, it was like my biggest dream to one day work next to him. But you know, parents are like, well, let's see how serious she is about it. And I was, and here I am. I'm still working for him. And I think it's going to be over 12 years. Jesus.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, a lot of time. That is a lot of time.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I feel as though the history of tequila is so intimately tied to family. You know, you see these tequila producing families that have been going on for generations and generations. So I'm sure you faced, I mean, you probably pulled in both different directions. On one hand, like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to join this thing with so much rich history, but like maybe I want to pave my own way. So like, how did you kind of balance those before actually getting into where you are right now?
So actually, at the beginning, my father has a rule to work for him. You have to at least have 2 years of experience doing something different. So I went, I studied marketing and publicity, which I don't do as much as I used to before. And I worked 2 years for different Mexican companies. And finally, I was like begging him for a job, and I would like bring my curriculum and everything. It was just passed by. I'm like, Jesus, this is not right. So long story short, we have other businesses around the liquor industry. Finally, he offered me a job at one of our retail stores. I got very excited, dressed up, arrived, and I was working for the warehouse counting cases. Let's just put it that way. So nevertheless, I was wearing like a suit. He did not say anything. He was like looking at me having breakfast. He's like, why are you wearing that suit? And I'm like, well, you know, in Mexico, we're very dressy when you go to the offices, corporate offices. So I thought that I was going to the corporate office. And he's like, oh boy, you have no idea where you're going. So that's how I started in the liquor industry, counting cases. I was working for the retail store for, I think it was like a little bit over a year and a half. And finally, he offered me a position at the distillery, and then I had to learn. Of course, I knew the process just because I grew up within the industry, but we started to be like a little bit more precise. And I discovered that I wasn't that bad at tasting. So I've always, since I was very young, I was all about the aromas, the flavors, and even like the colors with food, and even with fabrics. I love fashion, so I would go to the stores and just like touch the fabrics, weird things that I used to do. So at the distillery, we found that it was a little bit good, not a little bit, but it would help because I was very good with picking up on aromas and with my palate. So finally, I got a more interesting proposition from his side, and I started working with him. Still is my teacher, Mari Carmen, that she's in charge of most of the profiles from all the lines. My father is actively one of the master distillers at the distillery. So I get to learn from the best every day, and the rest is story. I'm like, yeah, I'm still here after 11 years.
That's amazing. Well, I'm sure you have plenty of stories to tell. I'm sure we'll get into some questions and stuff, but I feel like it's more fun if we're drinking some tequila. So shall we?
Whatever gives you that idea.
Oh.
How could drinking be fun?
Oh no. Let's do it. Yeah. I'll say this. I'm far more entertaining when I have a little bit of tequila in me. So we're starting with the Blanco.
Of course. So there's a reason why I like to start with the Blanco. As I mentioned before, this is like the purest expression of agave. The Blanco is totally unrested. Right now, there's a little bit of a tendency of resting less than 2 months. The Blancos, we decided not to do it just because I said before, we want like the true flavor of agave. Every time we're sniffing, especially in tequila, what I highly recommend to do is go close and then go a little bit farther, probably like 2 or 3 fingers away. So you don't get that kick of alcohol. And then you start getting like all the earthiness from the plant agave.
Well, immediately on the nose, this isn't one that makes you reel away from any kind of sharp alcohol. No. You can easily get in there and enjoy the really lovely agave flavors here. I'm really curious, can you tell me a little bit about the cooking process that you guys specifically do? And does it differ, or is it across the board for all of the tequilas?
I think we all have like our little tricks. One important thing to say about our line is that we make it the traditional way. And by the traditional way, I mean that we are not using any diffusers. So once we harvest the agave, we bring it to the distillery and we slowly cook the agave in order to obtain the juice using stainless steel ovens. And after that, the agave goes through a shredder machine, which cuts the agave into big pieces. And then it goes through a 5-step milling system, where we gently squeeze the agave without touching a lot of the fibers. That is very important. That will make a big difference between one brand and another one. This brand, when my father was creating the line of Mayor, what he tried to achieve was to create one family of tequilas where you were able to sip on from the Blanco to the Reposado, Añejo and Cristalino, without having that kick of alcohol that sometimes it's not nice. Of course, you want to feel the warmth in your throat, which is very important. This is why we don't spit tequila when we're doing the tastings, big difference than in wine. It's because it's very important to see how your tequila is not only going to behave in your palate, but also in your throat. So every time that we try tequila, I highly recommend to first start with a very small sip. With that small sip, what we're going to do is just warm up our palate, get our tasting buds ready, warm up our throat, and then the second sip can be a little bit longer. If we have a long first sip, the only thing that we're doing is burning our tasting buds, and especially in tequila, then you're not going to be able to find all this amazing fruitiness, earthiness. In the Blanco, you have like a lot of, I don't know if you can pick up on a little bit of citrusy.
Oh yeah, it's almost zesty in a way, and it has little hints and like peaks and valleys of citrus and sourness that I really like. Yeah, like what you said, the second sip is a little longer to hold it in your mouth, but I also like to make it a little bigger. So I like to have a little more tequila. I know that first sip of any spirit, especially first sip of the day, any spirit, be it whiskey, gin, rum, tequila, you really want to have that burnout. You got to get rid of all that flavor in your mouth, because that's going to clash with the tastes and the nuances of the spirit, especially something a clear spirit, which is going to be a lot more delicate in general than something that's going to be a little darker, or something that was barrel aged for a long time that has a lot of flavor built into it.
To me, this one's really interesting because I do get like a little hints of the honey, little hints of a little bit of lemon, but this to me is actually a really earthy Blanco. I think this is really rooted in kind of just like a minerally earthy. So what I'm curious about is if you can tell us about the water source, because to me, I always feel like that's something that has to do a little bit with the, the water.
That has a lot to do with it, because once that we cook our agave, then when it's going through the 5-step milling system, we add water through that process. So we have a special plant in our distillery where we run the water so it's completely, I don't know how to say it flat, but it comes from a well, so it's like very good quality water, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We have 2 distilleries, and we're very happy to announce that we opened our second distillery with our most important business partners. which they're like the owners from El Mayor, the Lux family. And it's family to us. So we have our second distillery that it's in the highlands of Jalisco. But the first distillery where we're creating this line and when everything started, it's actually in the middle of Guadalajara. So the only reason why we have the distillery in the middle of Guadalajara was because of the quality of the water. Although we had our own system, I can't think of the right word in English, to clean the water. I don't know how to say that.
Purification.
Like
Filtration.
Filtration system. The quality of the water was very, very unique and very good. Yeah. So now that we opened the second distillery, we made sure that we were going to have access to amazing water too. We had to, we visited different distilleries and everything until we decided that we were going to finish building this one that was built, and it has a well. So yeah, water is very, very important also in the production.
Is it a reverse osmosis? Do you know if it's a reverse osmosis?
It is.
Got it. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's very important to know that, well, the most important ingredient in order to make tequila, it's agave. And we proudly grow every single agave that we use, especially for El Mayor line. We produce other lines, so therefore we can choose the best from the best. The agave that we have for El Mayor, it's hand selected, and it only comes from the highest parts from the fields. So that's an important thing. It will be different if it's fresh agave, and by fresh, I mean once we harvest it, we have to cook it within 24 hours. We chop it at the distillery. We do not chop it at the fields. And not a lot of people do that because obviously the labor, hand labor, it's a lot more expensive in the city. But we rather do it that way because in that mode of working mode, we can always assure you that we are only going to use the freshest agave.
I've done it. It's very, very fun. I have a great picture of me with an axe chopping into an agave in Guadalajara. So
nice.
It's a lot of fun. I have done that.
I have a fun trick for you. If you grab a little bit of your Blanco and pour it in your hand.
Wait, I need more.
I know, we need some more.
Hold on, I drank all mine.
Yeah, so we need a little bit more for this.
I've got it. Yes. So I've got more Blanco because
we're going to pour a little bit in our hands. We're not going to rub it. We're just going to place it in our hands and go like this, kind of like tap it. In that way, it's going to dry.
Is that like making tortillas? Or I feel like because I've made pupusas, it reminds me of that.
Am I doing that right? Am I doing it right?
You're doing it perfect. And then just waft your hand.
Okay.
I don't know if that even it's a word. And then if you sniff it, I don't know if you remember, but this is the aroma that you get once you're harvesting the agave with the coa. When you're chopping the leaves, that's the aroma you should get. All that earthiness and.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay?
I feel like I don't need to buy as much sanitizer, although this would be a waste of great tequila, but my hands feel very clean now. They smell great. I was going to like put it on myself.
I could sit here for hours and hours and tell you about the amazing spirit tequila. It's just because it takes so many years to grow the agave. People don't even realize in order to get one bottle of Blanco, it takes you in the best case scenario around 9 years. People don't.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And we're just buying like
sometimes up to like what, 13, 14 years?
Yes, usually right now with the climate change, I would say between 6, 7 to 12, 13 years in order to agave it. And then, well, it takes you around a week and a half, depending on your system, and the distillery, and then the resting process.
Can you overage agave as a plant? Can it get to a point where it starts to lose its sugar content or its brick count and actually become a bad time to harvest, like you waited too long?
Yes, actually, and that is a great thing because I found it so funny how some people tell me, well, my tequila is the best because I only use 13-year-old agave. And I'm like, wow, I have no idea how you do that because agave is just like a person. It matures when it matures. I've met humans that are like 40 and they're still not mature. I am a big example of that. I've seen kids that are more mature than anyone. So agave plant is just that way. The plant will let you know by itself when it's ready to harvest. I mean, you'll make the decision. But another important thing is that if you don't harvest it when it's ready to be harvested, it starts losing its sugar content, as you were saying. And by the end of the day, sugar content is what you need to convert into alcohol. And then it starts losing a lot of properties. It kind of like rottens from inside. So you don't want to do that. You want to harvest it when it's ready to harvest.
Yeah, I mean, you'd say the same thing for fruit. Like there's a time to pick fruit.
Yeah.
There's
Overripen.
too early, too late, and then there's just right. And so I don't see why this would be any different.
You want to give your final thoughts on the Blanco?
Final thoughts on the Blanco. I'm at a B+. Slight alcohol for me was a tiny bit prevalent for the balance. That's my negative. My positive is it's delicious. It's smooth. It's easy to drink. It's very lovely aroma. I think the nose for me was in the A range.
Yeah, it was a great nose.
It was the finish, and even on the third and fourth and now fifth sip, it is a very solid Blanco. And here's the kicker: I know what these cost. So for what you'll pay for it in that price range, I dare you to find better for the price. That's my main thing. Because and this brings up a question actually. For El Mayor, you said you're opening a second distillery. Is there for the family? Is there a plan to develop another line of tequila under a different name and brand, or is it more that you're creating more capacity for this brand with the second distillery?
We are creating more capacity, that is for sure, and we do other. We have other lines that are more like as a premium wealth, if that makes sense, especially like for cocktails, brands, but not as high end as this one, if we could put it that way.
This is the highest. This is
the highest. But every year we have we have a unique expression, a limited edition. We have done Los Lobos, which was a single state, and all the agave that we used came from my dad's favorite plantation, and the way that we harvested was completely different. And if you compare this Blanco to Los Lobos Blanco, it's completely different. It's outstanding. Then we had one little creation that I had. It took me 7 years to develop. I should not be saying this. It was my baby. That was rested in Chardonnay barrels. French oak that used to host Spanish Chardonnay. And then this year we launched the Cristalino, and next year we have a very, very exciting new part of the family. It's also a limited edition, but it involves rum casks. So right now when we're talking about rum, I was like, yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I like to hear that for sure.
The one thing that you don't see in tequila enough is a lot of people just launching the core 3 or 4,
However, though,
expressions.
You still need to have a good core and base spirit if you are going to innovate from that. You can't innovate from garbage. You can barrel age something to hell and back, and if the base spirit isn't good, you're still never going to get a great product out of it.
No, definitely. So let's talk about barrels for a second. We've got our Reposado. What kind of barrels are we using to make this Reposado?
So we only use bourbon barrels for the whole line of El Mayor. That being said, that means that the Blanco that we just tasted, it's going to be our base for the whole family of El Mayor. We'll see how this tequila is going to evolve, even in the palate, aromas, of course, and all the difference that we're going to find moving from Blanco to Reposado, Añejo and Cristalino comes only from the barrels. We do not add any colorants, any flavors, anything that's added.
How long this one's aged, do you know?
Yes, this one is rested for 9 months, at least 9 months. And I love to say at least, because let's say that we prepare one batch of tequila, and as I mentioned, we don't add anything else to it, and it's lacking of aromas, then we add 1 barrel of añejo. Let's say that we prepare one batch of tequila reposado, and it's still lacking of color, then we add another barrel from a different añejo. So in that way, at least the youngest barrel that it's used to make this beautiful blend, it's 9 months.
Wow. This has a lot of vanilla going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right out of the gate, I get a lot of vanilla.
I almost get a little bit of a nice kind of spiciness to it too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Creamy too on the mouthfeel.
What's interesting is that my one thing that I felt was lacking a little bit in the Blanco was the mouthfeel. For me, it just dropped off a little bit too much on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
Big up front, big on the nose, kind of fell off the palate a little bit. I feel as though the barrel is clearly helping out the mouthfeel here. I mean, Seth, do you think
it's very creamy. It's got a lot more of a fat component.
Absolutely. Which is interesting because I've definitely had Reposados that the barrel actually removed a lot of the things that I loved about the Blanco. And I don't feel that way at all. I actually feel like I still get a nice balance of that cooked agave, that sweetness, but now there's a nice kind of pepper spiciness coming through. Like it's nicely balanced.
Yeah, this is a really strong repo, actually. It's really good. It has a heat to it, but I like it more than I did the other one. It's a balanced heat. It's got those peppery notes.
I feel like when we're tasting Blanco, as we move to the Reposado, we start feeling like if the tequila was moving a little bit more towards an elegant side, we start to feel like a little bit of baking spices, a lot of vanilla. But one thing that is very important, and it's like my dad's, what can we say, rule, is that it doesn't matter what we're making, we should not shave the true flavor of agave. So I love that you're saying that you still feel it. This is why we only go through 2 distillations. If we go through a third one, we do believe that you end up shaving all those amazing picks that tequila has. For that, you might as well just drink vodka. Nothing against that, but it's not what you want. And with
100%.
the Añejo and Cristalino, you want all the goodness from the barrel, all the flavors that the barrel is gonna help enhance in our tequila, but you don't want to cover those through picks, because that's the one thing that makes the spirit so unique.
The balance is always about having you need to be able to smell it and taste it and know immediately, this is a beautiful Reposado tequila.
It is.
But also you need to be able to be like, okay, the barrel is helping the agave is helping, these barrel characteristics come through. This one has the, like you said, bourbon, classically, baking spice, caramel, vanilla. This has hints of all of that. I think that the 9-month age minimum is picking up plenty of that, if not more, from any enhancements. Batch size, how big are the batches? How many barrels go into a batch of Reposado? 100, 1,000, more?
So I would say it's hundreds, and it's depending on the forecast that we get from
like the sales guys. Yeah. Got it. Yeah, I know a lot of companies, especially ones that have, this is a pretty big brand overall. It's just not, for those listening that aren't familiar with El Mayor, I've been drinking this since I was in college. So this brand has been around for a decade. So here's another question. So family's been distilling for 150 years.
Yes.
4 generations. This brand's been out for 15 plus years. What was the family distilling? Are there brands that maybe my parents or my grandparents maybe encountered that were coming from your family's distillery? And what brands were those?
So what happened is that 33 years ago, my father decided to go independent because his father passed away and he didn't see eye to eye with the way his uncles were running. And by that time, we were already doing business, a lot of business with the Luxus family.
Yes.
Juarez, which is a bulk tequila. So when my father decides to go independent, Mr. Paul Lux reached out and he was like, well, Rodolfo, I've known you. He knew my father since my father was a teenager. My father learned English with them and everything. Like, I want tequila and I want it from you. We've been doing a lot of business since the 60s. And my father was like, I wish I could, but now I decided that I don't want to do this with the family and everything. And the first person that supported my dad to have his own distillery was Paul Lux Sr., not only with lending him money, but with all the advice of how to run a business in a very successful way. So if we were already doing, and by we, I mean my grandfather doing business in the 60s, and way before that, we used to have a different brand and everything, but doing business within the United States, my father was able to continue this legacy with a brand new distillery and with different brands. And that's how Destiladora Gonzalez was formed 32 years ago. And as I said, last year we opened the second distillery, which is Destilería Gonzalez Lux, in which we're 50 and 50% partners. And it's an amazing thing because I get a lot of times when I'm presenting this brand in the United States, people will say, well, is this an American brand? Is anyone Mexican involved and everything? I'm like, we have the best from both worlds. It's run by a Mexican family. I mean, you can't get more Mexican than this. We do the tequila the traditional way, and we just have the certain things, the know-how and certain innovation side of it from an American family.
Yeah. I think that's you guys know how to navigate, the very complex American alcohol system, the three-tier system, and how each state operates so independently. To navigate that coming from Mexico without having sold something in America through the alcohol industry is got to be a very daunting, challenging task. And so you guys come out and, you have these partnerships that really help, I think in both, everyone's helping everyone. So that's very important. I'm going to try the Añejo.
Yeah, I know.
So now, I'm sorry if I repeat the same thing. We have to keep in mind that the color difference, it comes only from the barrels. So in this one, we're going to see that it's a little bit darker.
Yeah.
And in the aromas, we're going to find that it's a little bit more intense. But I don't want to change whatever you think about the brand. So you let me know what you're finding.
Yeah, usually on our end, we both kind of have to shut up before each of us kind of digs into it, because if somebody lets something off too early, it can kind of mess with your head and be like, oh, I maybe wasn't going to get that, but now it's in my head and I pick it up. But
I know what I'm getting on the nose.
And it is interesting because the Reposado was actually very light, very, very light in color, straw, almost Chardonnay in color. And this is certainly much darker. I mean, it's not dark, but it's definitely much darker in color.
It's like a light amber, I would say. I love that you said that the Reposado was straw, because I usually use that word. And somebody told me that's not even a word. I'm like, it is in my head.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, straw's a word.
Thank you. I was so happy you said that. Just made my day.
Go for it, man.
Anise on the nose, that like anise seed, licorice smell on the nose for sure. Very strong. By far the most jumping out of the glass nose. It really,
it's interesting. I think I got a little bit more licorice on the last one.
Really?
Yeah. But it's here.
You didn't say it.
It's here too.
You didn't say it. I'm saying it. I'm saying it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, no, it's really got the last one to me was a little more like cotton candy, vanilla, creamy. This one's a little more exotic spice.
Yeah, I get more like kind of cardamom and deeper caramel.
Yep.
And almost a little, it's just barely a little bit of like a tobacco earthiness to it on this one.
Ginny,
which is really nice.
I love that you guys mentioned tobacco.
All right, I'm gonna go.
I'm even okay. Sorry, before we
more.
Yeah. Okay, this one's really good. I do get a little bit of dark chocolate as well. As it's not really in the body of it. It's more after you're done sipping it and you haven't. In between sips, it really lingers in this really nice dark chocolate realm. My
palate as an aftertaste.
Yes.
Yep, it's really got the balance that I want in a tequila. This one truly has soft, subtle agave, soft, subtle barrel, and then that third sort of leg that creates a tripod of flavor that this is standing on, which is like that herbs and spice level. So it's got those kind of flavoring components, and then the sort of the barrel side and the agave side. And between those three things, this is standing up as a really beautiful tequila. Now, here's the crazy part. And, we do talk about price on the show. We do want people listening to understand the cost of what it is we're drinking, because a lot of people go, oh, I can't afford that. It's Añejo. Tequilas are $100. This is not $100. This isn't even close to that. And before we dive into extra Añejo and Cristalino, let's talk about price for 1 minute. Blanco, Repo, Añejo. Where are we at?
The Blanco, you will find it around $26.99. The Reposado would be around $29.99. The Añejo, $34.99. But for Añejo, that's
$35.
Yes.
How long is this barrel aged for? This Añejo.
So the Añejo, at least 18 months.
Yeah, and it shows. It's much more barrel forward. I'm going to offer a slight counter opinion,
Okay.
Seth, because I actually thought the Reposado is more balanced. I think my only knock against the Añejo is I miss some of the really nice cooked agave. I mean, it's still there. You're right. It's still there. But I actually felt if you really wanted to get that really nice marriage, I thought the Reposado had it a little bit more. And I actually tip my preference towards that.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because Paul, my brother, thinks exactly the same way as you are thinking. But and everyone has like different tasting buds and we all feel it different. But I feel like the Añejo, in my personal perspective, is a little bit more balanced. But I do agree with you. You don't feel like that peak from the agave, but I would say from the raw agave, that makes sense. Because for me, I do pick up on the Añejo de agave, but more like the cooked agave. So I pick like in the, I don't know if like brown sugar-ish, kind of like honey, like molasses, it would be the right word. I don't know. So that's what happens in my palate. But Paul, my brother, swears to God the Reposado is more balanced, and he loves it because he does feel more of that kick of agave than you feel it at the end.
Yeah, and that's actually something that's what I like about tequila, and I do find that's the one thing that I always criticize as we go deeper and deeper into barrel aging. I'm always going to bring it back to, do I still get that agave? Whereas I know, Seth, you love the barrel characteristics that come through.
The finish on this Añejo is still going. I'm still tasting it,
and that's what's lovely about the fact that you
back
can
here in the back, like in the jawline here. It's the roof of my throat and the roof of my mouth. I really feel this tequila lingering. I think it's that third component. It's that spice that you're getting, that anise seed, that maybe a little bit of coriander that you're getting, those sort of really exotic spices that you get, grains of paradise kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's got gin notes that I love. I'm definitely a gin drinker at times. Catch me in a casino. I'm only drinking gin.
Didn't we just recently catch you in a casino?
I was recently in a casino and I was recently drinking gin. Now, the idea here is that I love something that is going to leave behind a flavor you continue to taste and go, man, it almost calls you back. It begs you to have a little more. And I felt like the Reposado was sweeter and was a little more in the cotton candy, creamy sort of a ballpark. I agree with you both, your brother and Cameron, that it does have, the Reposado is more true agave. But for me, I buy and I drink a lot of the Añejo tequilas for that extra time in the barrel because of what it does to the spirit. This is doing that for $5 more. I'm going to spend my $5.
Fair enough.
So I'm at the A- for the Añejo. I'm still at a B+ for the Repo.
Yeah, I'm at a B+, kind of B+ A- for the Repo. I'm at a lower B+ for the Añejo, and the Blanco was like a B+ for me.
Oh, yeah, I had a B+.
So yeah,
I'm at B+, A-.
So I'm really excited to get into this next one because we were kind of wondering where to actually put this in the tasting because it's unique, because it's clear, but it's an Añejo.
Can you explain the Cristalino for everybody? Because maybe someone listening doesn't know Cristalino quite yet. It's a little bit of a newer trend in the last 3 or 4 years.
It is. It's a trend. It is a part of the innovation in the tequila industry. It's not a new category. It's not considered a new category by all means. But as I was saying, as an industry, we keep working on innovations. So we were thinking, what else can we do that sets us apart from other spirits? So we came with this great idea, which was extracting the color. For a lot of people, it doesn't make sense, and they would say, well, in bourbon, you want all that color, or in other different spirits. But the reason behind, if you think about it, we're doing so many cocktails at this moment with tequila that it's amazing to find a clear cocktail with aromas and flavors that you would get it from a darker one. So it's just so that we all put our perspective in that side. of why we're doing this. But it's not as simple as it sounds. It's not only removing the color, because if you think about it, every time that we go through a distillation, or not a distillation only, but filtration, you don't only remove the color, you also remove aromas and you also remove flavors. So you have to be very careful the way that you do your extract filtration process.
You have to strip it just right.
That I can't see you guys, so I don't know if you have the bottle with you. I think you do.
We do. Seth just put it slightly out of frame. One of the cool things, and if you want to talk about why this is as well, but all of the other ones have cork tops, and this one, as soon as I opened it, it's all, is it still all glass? It's like a glass top too?
Yeah.
It's so cool. The moment I pulled that off, I was like, oh, that's awesome.
It also says charcoal filtered.
Yeah.
So is that
I assume the process stripping? Of removing?
Yes, we use charcoal filtration in order to remove the color. But this is very important. It's not only removing the color, it's making sure that by this filtration, we don't remove a lot of the aromas, because if you sniff at it, you get a lot of the true aromas from the agave, like the earthiness, but you still get some from the barrels. So
I have to interrupt you right here, because best nose on the table, hands down. Not even close. Not even close.
Most interesting nose on the table.
It's so it absolutely leaps out of the glass. I am sorry for interrupting. Please continue.
Well, it's funny because now that you said that, we did like blind tasting, and by what I mean by blind, it's like we covered everyone's eyes, and it's just that people don't expect, when you're looking at it and you sniff at it, you don't expect that. You're expecting something like, if you get a glass of gin and you start sniffing at it, you know what you're gonna get, all the earthiness and certain citruses or whatnot. In tequila blanco, the same thing. In vodka, you're gonna get some greens or like grass or whatever. But to grab a glass and have a crystal clear spirit and then get some oak notes, it's so crazy. It's like you're playing tricks in your mind. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a whole art to do this special tequila, because you want to keep some of the goodness that the barrel adds. But here's a trick in a good Cristalino. You also want to bring back the true flavor from the agave. So you are actually kind of like having the perfect blend, if that makes sense. You get a little bit from the barrel, and I would call it kind of like the elegant side. We'll say our baking spices. We'll say a little bit of oak. But then we're bringing back what makes tequila such an amazing spirit, which is all the earthiness and spiciness and even citrusy and even fruitiness in the case of El Mayor. So I'm actually very curious to see what you guys think about it. So cheers, let's try it.
I have so much to say on this. So if you...
I'll remember your notes, because I don't want to confuse, but I'm getting a little menthol and a little bit of like... pininess on the nose.
Like I get like mint and spearmint.
Spearmint, yeah. I really want to make like a tequila mojito with this, and bring in that mint component and a little bit of lime and a little bit of sweetness, and make sort of like a Cristalino mojito, which I might do this weekend. I mean, it's hot out.
Fair enough.
Might do it.
That wouldn't be a bad call at all.
I might take this and do that. This is really... So I don't know if I get the barrel on the nose as much as I do on the palate. It's got it has that Reposado creaminess. Now it says on the bottle 12 months. There's no age difference between this and the other Añejo, right?
No, the regular Añejo is 18 months, 8, and this one is 12 months. 12.
Oh, so this is not aged as long. Is that done because of a flavor or because of the fact you're going to take that color out?
It was more of the flavor profile. We did like different tastings. We waited 12 months, 13 months, 14 months. So at least it's 1 year. I don't think that we used any barrel that was more than 14 months per se.
Got it.
I'm actually 100% sure that we didn't use anything that was a little bit over than 14. Yeah.
It's chewy.
Oh,
you can chew on it.
It is. You ever had like raw honey? You ever had like raw honey that's not, that's almost like...
I might have.
You kind of have to like, it's like cloudy, and you have to spoon it out. That's what it is. It's like a super thick molassesy, but it's honey, because this isn't really molasses for me. This is easily the fruitiest on the table. I get tons of zesty lemon, even bordering on like a little bit of like pineapple and tropical fruits.
Juicy fruit gum. You know juicy fruit gum?
Yes, I do know juicy fruit.
That one. This is what it tastes like.
You know which one? This one is perfect for a tequila and tonic. It goes so good.
Okay.
I would have said the last one because that one had more of those gin qualities. I would have put the last one, the Añejo, with a tonic. Not that I drink Añejo and tonic. That's not really a drink I drink.
Yeah, but apparently it should be.
I could see this with ginger. This Cristalino would pair beautifully with like a ginger beer and make even like a mule. Like this.
Oh yeah.
I would want to see this in a lot of those clear spirit cocktails because like what you're saying, a lot of times you have those clear spirit cocktails and you're not expecting the spirit to deliver much except for alcohol. And in rum's case, a little bit of sweetness on the palate from that sugar cane. This has the sweetness. It has that, but you don't get it like there's never really finish is the last thing you're talking about when you talk about a clear spirit is how long does it linger? How long does it finish? That's generally a characteristic left for, something that's been 18 damn years in a barrel. This is something that has a finish, a real lingering finish. And it's really more concentrated on the tongue than the mouth feels a little different. It's feel like it's more centered on the tongue than it is on the throat or the roof of the mouth or even the outer, gums and those kind of things.
But here's the thing. If you're still going to mix this, you cannot discount a good mouthfeel for a good cocktail.
No,
because
I would use a lot of this.
It still needs to hang in there really nicely. I think a lot of people think, oh, well, who cares about the mouthfeel? I'm just going to mix it with this, that, and the other thing. And it is going to add to the body of the cocktail in a way that you might not immediately think of.
Yeah. It's very, very good. This is very good.
It is. It's interesting too because it's got the lovely agave punch of the Blanco. It's a little bit zestier but it's a little sweeter. And I think that's going to be slightly polarizing. I think it does linger on the mouth with its sweetness a little bit more than I probably would have liked. However, the nose is just so unbelievably fantastic that this is quite good.
Yeah, I'm at an A- for this. This is very good.
I'm with you on that.
How much does this guy cost?
This only $39.99. Yeah.
Jeez, someone needs to have a talk with your pricing department.
You could be making more money if you wanted to. You guys are leaving money on the table. I'm not a business advisor. No, but there's money on the table.
But to say, this is a good value. Because
this is a $60 bottle.
I know. Well,
easily, I would pay $60 for this.
But it's so easy to go on a show and be like, "Oh my gosh, the spirit is so unbelievably amazing," and they go, "Yeah, it's $200 a bottle," and then everyone that's listening goes, "Well, shit, like I can't have it now."
But you know what? You know what? To be critical, I like the other bottles' design better. No offense.
But this top is cool though.
I like this new bottle you guys came out with is so effing cool. This thing is it's got that grip on the neck. You pour it, I could tell as a bartender this is gonna pour well. If my hand doesn't fit well here, it's got a nice skinny profile, so I can really grip it. Like this is a good easy pour, and at this price point, I imagine people are gonna put this in a cocktail because it's not gonna break the bank.
No.
But for the Cristalino, it's got the custom thing. It's very clean.
Yeah, it's super clean.
Very minimal. Personally, I like the big bottle. I like that. Like I would love to see this in that bottle, but I get is this an everyday ongoing product or is this going to go away one day?
No, so far we are intending to keep it. We came out with it thinking that it could be like a good, it was like an exercise. Let's see what happens, and it's just moving so fast and so well, and people
it's
are
good.
Keep making it. Keep making it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that have that misleading idea about tequila. You can only shoot it and everything. So they want to try the Blanco, but they really don't. They want a crystal clear one, but they really don't want the Blanco because it's too early for them. So this is a great way for them to start drinking a clear spirit, and then they walk their way down all the way to the Blanco tequila. So
yeah. Well, I know you're a fan of the extra Rome, Seth. So are you excited to get into this one?
This is the extra añejo. How long are we in the barrel on this one?
So this is a very interesting thing to Mark to talk about. So in order to call your product extra añejo, by law, it has to be rested at least 3 years. So ours, right after 3 years, we start trying or tasting our barrels. So I get from a lot of people, well, Grace, it doesn't make sense because with Reposado, that by law you need at least 2 months, you wait until 9 months. With the Añejo that you need at least 1 year, you wait 18 months. How come for the extra Añejo, if you at least need 3 years, right after 3 years you start trying your product? So the first time that I got that question, I had no idea, no clue about the answer. I'm trying to call my dad. He's not picking up. It was actually in a meeting in the States. And finally he picks up and I'm like, Dad, they're asking me this and I have no idea. He responded, he's like, Razor, you're going to lose your job. I'm like, what do you mean I'm going to lose your job? It's like, you should know this. I'm like, well, I have no idea. Just give me the answer and then fire me. But I need to tell these people something. So he was like, well, if you think about it, the more that you rest or age your product, the more goodness from the barrel is going to show up, not only in color and in aroma, but also in flavors.
Tried and true.
When I tell you that it takes us, in the best case scenario, around 9 years to have a Blanco, and you overage it, you're going to get a bourbon. And you're going to laugh right now, and you're going to tell me there's no way you can drink a tequila that tastes like bourbon. Let me tell you.
Totally have had it. You can certainly do that, and you can, I wouldn't necessarily say you would mess that up, but you have gone too far away from your base spirit. You can do that.
You're doing a product that it's not making sense to you because you're going to sell a tequila that tastes like bourbon, but then you're spending all this money in this plant that takes forever to grow. You might as well just do it from grains and spend that time in the resting. So he was like, we're making tequila and we're delivering tequila. You want an extra añejo that has all this amazing goodness, that it's the dark chocolate that we saw in the other ones, the hazelnut, the tobacco, even some leather notes, which I absolutely love leather notes in my spirits. All that goodness, but nevertheless, you still want at some point in your palate have that earthiness and that little bit of a kick that you only get from tequila, either in the tip of your tongue or in the middle part of your palate, or when it lingers in your throat. You don't want to erase that. Therefore, we start opening our barrels right after 3 years. The youngest one that we have ever used is 3.5 years, and the eldest a little bit less than 5. Now, You're going to tell me that's like a big difference between one and another, and you're definitely right. But as you know, and as I told you before, we don't use anything else in our tequila, only the resting. So we can't control what each barrel is going to bring up to our tequila. So sometimes we do like a whole batch of tequila and it's lacking a lot of color. So we have to find some barrels that have a lot of color, but they're not very overpowering in the aromas, because then you're going to have a bigger pick with the aromas than the regular extra añejo that we have. And in that way, that's the only way that we can give you consistency without adding anything else. I don't know if I made sense or I mumble a little bit.
No, you're dead on.
No. And I love that. I love the way that I think what's really interesting to explain to people is not just the process, but actually how you're thinking about it, how you actually digest. Okay, because this is a handmade thing, right? So how do you go about thinking about, okay, we've got this, how do we course correct to where we want to go? And then we add a little bit, like the philosophy is so fascinating to me. So I certainly appreciate you diving into that.
Personally, I'm a Blanco drinker, and Mayor Blanco, for me, it's my go-to every time. I usually don't care a lot for extra añejos. And I'm not saying this one because this is ours, but I absolutely love this one. And I won't tell you my opinion until you guys try it. And then if you're interested, I'll let you know. But I'm waiting to see what you guys think. So cheers, and I hope that you guys enjoy it.
So it's a 3.5 to 5 year age, all ex-bourbon barrel. Again, everything on the table is at 40% 80 proof. The level of flavor difference for 5 bottles of spirits that
are the same base spirit.
That are all the base.
Absolutely.
Well, not only that, they're all 40%.
Oh, true,
You know,
true.
we'll drink through a lineup and we'll go from 40 to 90 to 120 or 100 or some proof. And obviously, as you go up in proof, you start getting certain components of a spirit. This has some of those components that you don't find under 100 proof. When you find a spirit that delivers balance and deep, rich flavor at 40%, you have something special. This is starting to do that. I don't know if it's I don't want to say it's the best extra añejo I've had, because that's a pretty bold statement, but it really has complexity. Tobacco, you guys are getting it on the other ones. I really wasn't. I'm getting it here. Here I'm getting tobacco. Here I'm getting almost like a smoky earthiness.
Yes, very smoky.
A little smoky. This is the first one that delves into smoke and makes me want mezcal actually a little bit, because it's bringing me to that realm. You know, you have a little spice and you want to add more and more. This is doing that. So really fun, really cool, great color, like that little bit of brown sugar on there.
Yep.
It's not that caramel from the it's gone past the caramel stage of the barrel aging. Because I mean, I drink a lot of bourbons, you know, I drink a lot of Peerless out of Kentucky. That stuff's 24 to 36 months. And that's bourbon. That's Kentucky bourbon. And so you stay in that caramel range. As you get really into that 4th and 5th year, you do find some of the brown sugar flavors coming out.
Yep.
Some of that toffee.
Burnt sugar.
Now, this isn't a dark chocolate flavor I'm getting. It's not after dinner-y for me. It's more have a cigar, have a smoke. This would go well with the smoke.
Yeah.
You know, I would smoke with this. Not that I'm a big smoker, but this would go with that well.
It's so funny that like we're touching on similar things, but I have a different take on that. On the nose, immediately like brandied cherries. For me, I get orange rind, like dried out orange rind. It's a fruitier nose, but it's a deeper, more complex fruity nose. And then of course there's absolutely that smokiness that you had talked about. To me, this isn't like licking a cigar. This is more like borderline a little bit of campfire-y for me. But what I actually really like about it is I like this kind of like background, like dark cherry note that I get. This isn't an extra añejo that the barrel just washes away everything and you've gone so deep into like, leather and smoke and earthiness. No. There's still like some brighter notes throughout, but there's components of that. I wouldn't actually say this is the most tobacco forward. If anything, it's almost like a little bit of like prunes and darker fruits in that realm. I'm with you, however.
I get the fruit element.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's quite good. And I also think it would, most people would not guess that it's 40% because it is, its body goes beyond that.
Yeah. Grace, what do you, when you explain this in the tasting or when you pair this with a dinner, how do you describe it?
I like to say that it's a very well-rounded tequila, that it's complex. I like to compare it sometimes to a Bold Cabernet Sauvignon, a Spanish one. Because this one, it's the one that, in my perspective, lingers the most than the rest of the line. And we actually have timed it and even lingers a little bit more over a minute. So that's why I like it after dinner. I am with you. I don't smoke cigars that often, but I will do once a year. And I like to smoke a cigar with this one, a very light cigar though, because otherwise then the cigar, it's way too overpowering. And I don't like that. I like a very good balance. What I like about this one, although it's like very thick and it's very elegant and you have like all this amazing dry fruit notes, if that makes sense. I love that if you bring down the temperature of this one with a big cube of ice, it's like if we were moving back all the way to the Blanco, Obviously, you're still going to get a lot of the barrel as we speak. It's nothing. It's going to go away, but it enhances more the earthiness of the agave. So this is why I love this one, because I feel like you can get the best from both worlds in different ways. I usually love to drink this one room temperature. I do have to say that this can get me into a lot of trouble because it's so smooth for my palate. It has like the right amount of flavors. It's not overpowering. It doesn't get to the point that, I don't know if this have happened to you. To me, it happens sometimes with certain bourbons that after the second one, I'm like, no, I need to cleanse my palate. I need to do something else.
Yep.
With this tequila, it doesn't happen. So I find it that I would say it's a very complex, well-rounded tequila, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't pair it so much with food, because I think that by itself, it has so much to give that you should give it a try just by itself. But to be honest, when I don't like the food, I'll drink this, because I should not be saying this, but yeah, I've done that before.
So,
fair enough.
Where does this one rank in price relative to the Cristalino?
This one would be around $100.
Oh, so it really does jump from the 40 range all the way to 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think,
much more age on it. I mean, I think if you're looking for a sipping tequila, well, first of all, if you're looking for a really complex sipping tequila, you're probably in the triple digits anyway.
a lot of extra añejos do tip the $100 scale almost inevitably.
Just due to the length of time it takes to make it. I mean, it has to.
I'm gonna say I'm at a B+ on this one. I think the añejo, for the price, I'd rather get 2 of those than 1 of these, and I think the Cristalino the same. The Cristalino is still, for me, it's in the price range of making like the best mixed drinks on the planet. With that, if I'm going to make a tequila cocktail, I'm going to go Cristalino.
Yeah.
And then I would say the Blanco is my third favorite. And I'm kind of in the same, for the price relative, I think the Repo, great for that price,
Repo's
$29.
great.
And the extra añejo, if I'm going to spend $100, I'm going to get 1 Cristalino and 1 Añejo for me, but that's just me.
That's fair.
To each their own.
Yeah. Yeah. But it really, I will say this, it nicely rounds out the lineup. Like you said, Seth, you were talking about how the same base spirit is being manipulated just with barrels.
And time.
Right. Time in barrels and the barrels themselves. And it is producing drastically different results that give you because it's really easy to come out with a lineup that it's kind of like, okay, this one just kind of tastes like an older version of the other one. And these all feel as though they have their own place within the lineup. That's what I like.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when my father was creating this profile, he still says that each one of the marks has like the temper or of each one of the members from the family. So it's interesting because it's only called my brother and I, but we are brothers from same father, same mother, and we're completely different. So when my dad was creating this line of tequila, that's what he wanted to show, like the marks, the character, that it should be different from one to another. Which is a little bit hard to achieve, but I think that he did a good job.
It's a fascinating array of products that really touches on all of the different components you get from different types of tequila, be it a Reposado, Añejo, Cristalino. I'm very curious to try those special projects that are coming out, like a rum barrel or, those.
We'll definitely send you a bottle. We'll definitely send you a bottle.
We have to try that. When that comes out,
for sure.
We're have to do a feature Friday on that one. But it's, I think my favorite things are the package, the price, and the value. And when you deliver those in a spirits brand, you really have a winning recipe. Yeah. Not that you need
coming from somebody who owns a brand, it's that much more important for those things.
But I think
you think about them.
I just know that your path is going to be very smooth because you're doing all the right things. Not that you need to hear it from me, and I could be taking a lot of lessons from you, honestly. But the idea here is that like you guys have touched on, you've checked all the right boxes, so to speak, And that is why I know El Mayor has been a success, has warranted that second facility, has all of these growth potentials. And I mean, I would imagine that the markets are clamoring for innovation. So the quicker you can come out with innovation, the quicker you can come out with these special barrel projects or these types of things. That's what people want. That's what people like me and others want to see. You know, I love when people get creative and use different barrels on tequila.
Yeah.
Your base products, they don't need any help. They're all very, very good in their own respects. So it's just a matter of like what's next and what's coming. And, you know,
your sample or your bottle around September.
That's my birthday.
There you go.
My birthday's in September. It's perfect.
Well, there you go. It's going to be your birthday present. And I hope that you enjoy it as much.
Hell yeah.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
Oh, and that's going to be an extra añejo. So probably you're going to be very interested in it.
Oh, yes.
Ooh,
oh,
extra
yes.
añejo in the rum barrel.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now, is that like going to be 3 to 5 years in a rum barrel, or it's going to be
No,
3 to 5 years?
Is that we have an extra añejo. We made a special extra añejo for this edition. That it was a little bit over 3 years, and then we extended. We took that tequila and filled rum barrels just to seal, just to give like a last blessing. As my father's very romantic when he talks about the product.
As you have to be.
Give a final blessing in a rum barrel. So we'll see. But we already have it. So hopefully you guys enjoy it as much as we have enjoyed making it.
No, I think
appreciate that.
hopefully by then we'll be able to fly down and meet you in Mexico and do it there.
Oh my gosh! Please give me
That we'll do our first on the road show down in Jalisco.
That'd be fun.
It's such an amazing place.
I would love to host you guys. We'll have a lot of fun and we'll eat a lot, harvest a lot.
Yeah.
We gotta get to work.
Yeah,
we gotta harvest.
I'm ready to put in like a good 10-hour day if you need me. You know what I mean?
We'll
Like,
hit the fields. We'll chop. We'll cut. We'll carry. Those things are they're like 130 pounds.
I know.
With the first piña. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, one piña, one and done.
Okay, I'll hit the gym for a little bit. Fine.
We have time. We'll work it out. Hopefully the gyms open soon because COVID's got me like very out of shape
Just
right
doing
now.
so many push-ups at this point. We're lifting piñas.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
You know, it's been great. You know, you can always go to caskcartel.com and pick up all of the El Mayor brands.
Full line is on there,
The
right?
full lineup is
Full
on
line.
there. You got to get on there. Check it out. It is caskcartel.com. Be sure to check us out, Cartel Hour. Grace, wow. Like, what an amazing experience to hang out with you, drink through this lineup, hear about your family's robust influence on the 150 years. You've had, whether you acknowledge it, whether you know how impactful your family has probably been on the tequila industry well before you were born. I mean, it's just like how to internalize that. I don't know how I would do it. Maybe if my lineage goes on 4 generations and my great grandkids are still making whiskey and infusing vodkas and shit, you know, maybe that'll be a thing. But
yeah, there you go.
One day I'll have to ask him if I'm still alive. But you're here now. You're doing this. You're carrying the torch. Love it. This has been fucking awesome.
We appreciate it, and I love that you brought your tasting notes to the table too. That was it. That was an absolute blast. It was great to go 1-to-1 and compare tasting notes. That's a real treat for us. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure, and thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor, and I don't get to taste tequila with professionals like you every time. So believe me.
Well, that's a strong word, but we appreciate it.
So much from you guys. So this has been one of my favorite tastings. So thank you so much, and hopefully.
I think she meant functioning alcoholics.
Yeah, well, you know, whatever. She's nice. Clearly, she's she knows how to choose.
Thank
her
you
words.
so much. No,
Thank you, Grace.
We appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Hello everyone, Cameron and Seth here. Just a few more things before we wrap up. First, you can always head on over to cartelhour.com for the show notes, which will include links to all the spirits mentioned and, of course, consumed on the podcast.
Absolutely. If you're interested in purchasing any of the spirits mentioned on the podcast, go ahead and click any of the links to be taken directly to those spirits or visit caskcartel.com. They are America's largest online premium spirits marketplace, and have been featured in Rolling Stones magazine, Men's Journal, The Wall Street Journal, Forbes, MarketWatch, and many others.
Yeah, they are awesome and super mobile friendly too. They're a fantastic resource to search through different types of spirits, and their platform is easy and straightforward. If you don't love driving around to every single liquor store in town and hoping they have what you're looking for, Cask Cartel is certainly the best e-commerce spirits platform I've personally come across.
Couldn't agree more. And you can find them on social media at Cask Cartel, and you can find us at Cartel Hour for the podcast, where you can find information about upcoming episodes and live tastings at the Infusery.
And speaking of those live tastings, for those living in or visiting the Los Angeles area that are truly intrigued, if you want to drink along with us, we would love to have you come and enjoy an evening at the Infusery to drink through a carefully selected assortment of spirits.
We offer custom flights and have a robust library of over 700 spirits to choose from. Visit our website for more information on how to become a member of the Cartel Club.
And if you're a spirits brand that would like to be featured on the podcast, please email us or send us a direct message on Instagram.
Thank you everyone for listening, and remember to always drink responsibly
and in good company.